All right, I'd like to talk to you about a sample advertising essay. Remember, you are talking about a secondary message within advertising, so not the selling message. Okay, and let's talk about this one, which does a good job. In this, he has this as his thesis. While the primary goal of the advertisements is to sell the household products, the secondary message is that men are out of their element inside their households. So, a very clear message there. Here's his topic sentence for his first body paragraph. Countless commercials today portray men as incompetent within the household and incapable of basic domestic tasks. That's fine. It may have been able to been focused a little bit further, but it's fine. He's giving the point here. And I want to talk a little bit about his support here because in this he has one little problem with an example, which is something that he does very well in other places in this essay, but doesn't do so well at the beginning here. So here's his first example in a Home Depot advertisement. And let me just say this. He says in a Home Depot advertisement. Please don't say in the Home Depot advertisement. That gives us the idea that there's only one, okay? Even if you say a year and say in the 2016 Home Depot advertisement, there's not just one in a year. So just be careful about using that article, okay? But anyway, that's beside the point. In this advertisement, a man who receives a Home Depot gift card for Christmas proceeds to demolish his house in his renovations. In a particular incident, the father introduces his children to a new table he has built, which collapses before his children's eyes. The daughter seems unsurprised at her father's incompetence and protects her cereal bowl as she says, "We should have gotten him a puppy." In the final scene, the wife walks into the bedroom to find a gaping hole in the wall. And then he goes on to another example. My problem here is that he really needed to have his comments on this. He really should have commented. I mean, this is just atrocious. This is a terrible treatment of this father, really showing him to be lower in status than the daughter. Just really a terrible treatment, and he should have talked about that afterwards. But this is the one place really where he didn't do that. Let's look at some others where he did do that. So here he goes into another example. We can also observe the stupid dad character in, he says, the 2011 Sun Herald commercial. That may have been the only commercial for that product. I suppose it could have been, but otherwise, let's just say A, okay? While preparing his breakfast, this is about the dad character, he impatiently looks down the toaster. Just as he does this, the toast pops into his face, causing him to hit his head on a cabinet, place his hand into a hot frying pan, and finally knock over a coffee pot. The commercial advertises a promotional free first aid kit, which adds insult to injury. It is as if a man in the kitchen will need a first aid kit for his safety. Do you see this nice section here? This is the author's comment on that example. Don't just leave it to your readers to decipher it. You've got to tell them what you think it's saying, what you think it means, your explanation of it. He doesn't just give two examples, he gives three. This is wonderful. When in doubt, give more examples, don't give fewer. Okay, then here's his next paragraph, and I like this because it's a little more focused than the previous one. He says, furthermore, these incompetent men need women to take care of them, okay? So this is another point he's making about how men are portrayed in advertising. Okay, now he could have said these incompetent men are shown in advertising to need women to take care of them, but frankly, from the previous one to this, I think we can get that point. He uses a great example from a 2013 Discover Card commercial, a Fiber One bar commercial, and I like his explanation of the Fiber One bar commercial. You can pause it and read it if you'd like, but here's his explanation of it. He says, this practice is commonly employed on children, which makes the commercial especially insulting to an adult. Do you see that? He's telling us why this matters, what the point is about that commercial. Same thing with the You'll Play commercial. And his own little discussion of that. Next paragraph, again, nicely focused. He says another message that advertisers send is that men are lazy and at best deceive people into thinking they're not. And he could have been more specific and said lazy about tasks in the home, because again, this is related to a man being out of his element in the home. So that would have been better, but I like that he focused on lazy here. And again, gave nice examples for this one. If you'd like to see this in more detail, you can rewind it and pause it to read it yourself. But again, he gives nice examples. My little check marks in the margin mean, hey, good point here. He gives the example of a commonly referenced Huggies commercial. This is commonly referenced because it was so terrible that outrage was created, and it was taken off the air because it was so offensive. So there's that. And then in his conclusion, here's a point. He says the Huggies backlash suggests that trends are changing. Depicting fathers as incompetent is insulting and inaccurate. Commercials must change accordingly. A nice way to end, telling us what ought to happen.